Texas A&M is a really good team. Playing on the road is always difficult in this league, especially their place. I think it's very important for us to, prepare the right way, respect winning, do all the things you need to do to perform well when the game comes. And these guys have a really, really good defensive team. I think they're like fifth nationally or something. And, one of the top teams in the SEC. They've got really good skill guys on offense, good running back. We got a couple guys beat up. Drew Sanders is probably going to be out for this game. And, of course, everybody knows about Jace. So we're just trying to get the guys ready to go.
Our first question will come from Gary Gray of the Associated Press.
Hey, good morning, Coach.
Morning.
About Brian Robinson. With the kind of game that he had, does that kind of change your outlook for how he's being used? And what did he show you that was kind of surprising with that?
Oh, we weren't surprised at all. He's played well for us in the past. He just hadn't got as many opportunities. It was part of the game plan for a couple reasons, to run the ball and try to keep it away from them. But, their defensive structure is, something that, you need to be able to run the ball against. And I think we had a good plan on offense, and B-Rob certainly did his part in an outstanding way. So, but not surprised. He's a very good player and certainly had a very good game.
Thanks, Coach.
Next we'll go to Chip Howard of KZNE.
Coach, what have you seen, if anything, differently from a year ago offensively with a certainly more inexperienced quarterback that they're breaking in right now?
Well, I think that they have really good players on offense. I think they're very capable. I think they have a really good offensive system. I think that anytime you play with inexperienced players at any position, there's going to be some bumps in the road. They've missed some opportunities probably, because of that. But I know they're very capable, and he's very capable. And I think, you got to do a really, really good job of executing against them, because they're capable of big plays, and I think they're capable of running the ball. I think they're capable of having good balance in the offense. But I don't think their offense has changed dramatically. Jimbo does a really, really good job of being able to put a game plan together and taking advantage of what you do. And then, the players have to go out there and execute it.
You mentioned them defensively. What's the biggest challenge they present on that side of the ball?
Well, their front is really, really good. They've got some really good down guys up front. They make a lot of plays. They get very aggressive in the style that they play. Their players are well tied together and well coached in terms of how they make adjustments and things that they, do systematically. And so it's all around good defensive team. But I think, the strength is, if you have to say, that they really, all the negative plays, sacks, how they affect the quarterback. I mean, that's something that certainly is a concern.
Thank you.
Next we'll go to Glenn Guilbeau of Outkick.com.
Coach, you said Saturday that you got away from situational substitutions against Ole Miss like you did last year. Were there several plays in a row, or maybe even a whole series or two, where you stuck with the same 11 throughout that game on defense?
No, we substituted guys every time they substituted. To try to use whenever they substituted to get fresh guys, especially linemen, in the game. But we didn't try to play nickel, dime, and have all these different packages, because, as I said last week, if they convert against you, they go fast. You can't get them out of the game. They try to go fast on third down. You can't get them in the game. So you basically have to go in the game and say, when they sub, we can sub. But when we sub, there's a consequence for that, because you might get stuck with the people on the field. So, we just played with the same personnel group, nickel, the whole time.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Next, we'll go to Tony Slucas of Bama Insider.
Hey, Nick. Can you elaborate more on Drew Sanders' injury? And is that more of a long-term thing or just kind of a this game thing?
No, he has a hand injury. It required surgery. It was a little maybe worse than we thought. So he's going to be game to game here for, a few weeks. So we'll just have to see how it goes.
Thank you.
Next will be Michael Casagrande of AL.com.
Yeah, along those lines, how the guys behind him performed, and what do you expect from them coming up in this game?
Well, they don't have a lot of experience. That's two starters at the same position that we've lost. But, Dallas Turner's a good young player, and he's probably going to get more opportunity as well as Chris Braswell at that position. So, and those guys have played some, but they're obviously going to get more opportunity now.
Thank you.
Next, we'll go to Steve Moulton of WZZN.
Appreciate the time here this morning, Coach. Hope you're doing well. Through the first half of the season, how would you evaluate your secondary play, Coach?
We played very well at times. I think, from an entire defensive standpoint, I think that, what we haven't done a good job of is sustaining our performance throughout the game. We've given up a lot more points in the second half than we have in the first. So, I think it's important that our players learn how to play for 60 minutes in a game and can't get relief, can't get relaxed, can't look at the scoreboard. You got to keep playing with intensity because, playing against some really good offensive teams with really good players. So if you let your guard down for a second, they're going to make plays against you. And I think that's happened a little bit this year so far.
From a leadership standpoint, how would you say this team has evolved, and maybe who are some of those leaders that are stepping up for you on and off the field, Coach?
Well, it's a work in progress. We have a young team. We've talked about this before. We do have, some guys that are starting to emerge, but when you have a young team, young players don't want to step forward until, they create some sort of value in how they're playing and how they're looking at other teammates. And I think that's starting to happen in some cases. And I think some of the guys are starting to look forward, but that's something that we need to continue to work to try to develop.
Thank you, Coach.
Coach, we'll take one more. We'll go with Joseph Goodman of AL.com.
Hey, Nick. You guys are at Texas A&M. Not far away is the Texas-Oklahoma game this week. Just from a big picture perspective, how much do you think that recruiting, the recruiting in the SEC contributed to Oklahoma and Texas's decision to join the SEC?
I really can't answer that. You ought to ask Texas and Oklahoma that. It's not my question to answer. So I don't even know the validity of the question because Oklahoma and Texas both have good players too. So I can't answer that. I think you should ask them.
Okay, thanks.
That'll wrap you up, Coach. Thank you.